Life is a traffic jam. We sit in our compacted and secluded lanes and wait for our small window of opportunity to advance in this never-ending sea of slow-paced monotony we call society. Be honest with yourself. For the most part, life is pretty boring, isn't it? Most of your time spent sitting around watching other people enjoy life. Also, you can get some secondhand taste of the thrill. I only say this because I can relate. We work ourselves to the point of exhaustion, sleep away the night, and stress ourselves to death. It's a vicious cycle that's been perpetuated for centuries all over the world. But maybe life doesn't have to be this way. Maybe there's a place where everything isn't so dull and gray. Maybe there's a place where every breath you take could be your last, but the air is too sweet not to breathe in. Maybe, for those of us brave enough to search for it and crazy enough to stay, there's a place where those lacking a sense of purpose can be found. For one unassuming Japanese businessman named Rakuro Akajima, he found such a place. He found it in a show called Black Lagoon. Alright, I think we're done with the overdramatic narration now. Let's talk about some dope shit. Black Lagoon is one of the wildest, most unhinged, off-the-wall, batshit crazy shows I've ever seen. And as much as I love and appreciate good subtlety and ambient atmosphere in my entertainment, I'm also down for a little depraved insanity every now and then too. But that's not to say that the show is all gas, no breaks for 20 minutes straight every episode. What I really love about this show is its ability to switch gears and slow things down every now and then. Black Lagoon is actually one of the more chill shows I've ever watched. There's a lot of relaxing music and ocean view scenery mixed in with characters just lounging around and shooting the shit. The greatness of the show is that it goes from 0 to 100 when the action actually starts. Black Lagoon is the story of Rakuro Okajima, aka Rock. It's the classic story of the wimpy, doormat loser being thrust into a wild and dangerous environment that forces him to man up and overcome his many inadequacies in order to survive. And oh boy, does he change over the course of this series. The first act of Black Lagoon does a great job of not only illustrating the type of character that Rock is, but also the type of world that he comes from. Rock lives as a low-level businessman in urban Japan. The environments shown in this beginning part of the series are all very gray and desaturated to adequately convey the dullness and lack of vibrance in Rock's life. Even the way that Rock, speaks is almost completely devoid of emotion.
Guess so. It looks like things don't get any better when you go downtown either. Not in this city.
Like many of us, Rock is just kind of floating along in this world without a real sense of direction. He's lightly drifting along a far and dreary path until one day,
You got knocked the fuck out, man!
Rock ends up getting kidnapped by a team of ruthless sea pirates off the coast of Thailand. And while he's captive, he's being held hostage as ransom for contraband that the company Rock works for is trying to get back. It's all a little too complicated to explain here, but the TLDR is that Rock gets screwed, the pirates get screwed, they get stuck with each other, and they end up surprisingly start to bond a little bit. Then, when Rock comes through with a plan to save their asses in the end, he tells his dickhead superiors to fuck off and he joins up with the unruly pirates, who welcome him in with open arms. That's a very brief summary for an arc that's genuinely one of the most amazing openings to a show I've ever seen. I can't do proper justice to it in a whole series review like this, but trust me, I could go on and on about how much I love Black Lagoon's opening 2 episodes. Once the initial arc is over, the show continues to follow Rock and his fellow crew of pirates, appropriately named the Lagoon Company, and their crazy adventures both within and outside the lawless city of Roanapur. I spoke in the intro about a place where those who are lost could find themselves. The city of Roanapur serves as that idealized realm where all of this can happen. Roanapur is a paradise playground for international criminals to duke it out with each other and live free of the confines of traditional law. It's a place where anyone can be king and any king can be killed. All you need is the ruthless desire to do so and the brains and strength to make it happen. It's a place where a lowly businessman like Rock can feed his deep-seated appetite for destruction and control, and develop his twisted knack for manipulation and strategy to become a powerful and respected force in a deadly world that by all accounts he probably should have never survived in. What might be my favorite arc in the whole series is the Greenback Jane arc. It has almost nothing to do with the actual plot of the story, but everything to do with how the city of Roanapur is portrayed within it. Even though the city was pretty well described before the arc, all of the best elements of the city truly come to life here. The incredible cast of wacky, violent, and interesting criminals, all working with and against each other for the one common goal that unites them all: the endless pursuit of money and power. It's a riot, man, I swear. And it truly makes you understand why the criminals migrate there. The non-stop, heart-pounding thrill ride that the city provides its residents is the complete opposite of the life Rock knew before the Lagoon crew kidnapped him. When Rock first gets to Roanapur, he's shocked, confused, and frightened by the things he sees. It's all so unfamiliar to him that he falls into the cliche of fearing what he doesn't understand. I mean, it's also a pretty scary place in general, but Rock doesn't realize that it's only scary to those who are afraid to conquer it. In our own lives, we all have dreams of the people we want to become and the lives we wish we could lead. But many times it's the fear of failure and the fear of being wrong about our potential that stops us from even trying to escape the lives we hate. Rock isn't even given a chance to escape. He just gets stolen from his old life and thrown into this new one. But now that he's here, he has no chance of leaving. He's scared at first, but he doesn't realize yet that this wild life of crime, violence, and betrayal is just the jolt of excitement that he'd been looking for. The other members that make up the ranks of the Lagoon Company are also critically important to Rock's story. Counting Rock, there are 3 other members of the crew: Dutch, Benny, and Revy. And as much as I love Dutch and Benny for the role that they play in Rock's development throughout the series, there's only one character worth talking about here.
Gonna make you uglier, bitch. Let's dance the jitterbug, baby! We kill them all! Your breath stinks like you've been sucking cock. That's right! What the fuck are you looking at? Take this, cocksuckers! This is a pain in the ass. I say we kneecap this pussy. You said you were gonna give me something, right? Well, spit it out. I'm right here. What the fuck are you gonna give me? We'll just shoot his ass and throw him overboard!
Yeah. Revy is crazy, but in the best way possible.
And I just want her to sit on my face. Sit.
In a lot of ways, Revy is kind of like the anti-Rock. Revy is loud, she's brash, violent, unstable, quick-tempered, and fine as a mother. Everything about her is dangerous, and for some reason, her and Rock are sort of drawn to each other instantly. It becomes apparent pretty quickly that the show is much more interested in the dynamic of Revy and Rock's relationship than anything else. They're 2 characters who think they know themselves before they meet, but after they meet, they both become confused about who they really are, and they search for that personal identity within one another. The last arc of Season 2 is almost completely focused on just the 2 of them being on an assignment in Japan. This arc is also like twice as long as any other arc in the series, and most of it is just Rock and Revy trying to work out their issues. I mean, there's also plenty of wild violence, over-the-top humor, and intense situations as well, but Rock and Revy's relationship is really at the core of this arc, and really at the whole show. I once saw someone describe Rock's story in Black Lagoon as a descent into madness, but I disagree. Rock's story is less of a descent into madness and more of a circus act within the madness. Rock and Revy are constantly tossing each other up and down through rings of flames. Wherever one goes, the other is right there beside them, either to pull them down or to throw them up. They're confused people trying to figure out their place in the world, and that world just happens to be trying to kill them at every turn. It's a fucking fascinating relationship to watch play out given all the factors involved. And it's no wonder why people love this aspect of the show so much. There is so much more I could talk about in regards to Black Lagoon. I didn't even mention the killer maid Roberta, or the homicidal vampire twins, or even the crazy massacre sequences on the Nazi boat and in the bowling alley. There are all these amazing side characters like Shinua, Lawton the Wizard, Frederica the Cleaner, Etta from the Ripoff Church. One of the most imposing villains of all time in Miss Balalaika, not to mention Mr. Chang's crazy ass. There are just so many amazing characters and iconic moments from this series, but talking about all of that in one video essay could never do them justice. The best thing I can do is keep it simple and bring it back to Rock. By some miracle, Rock was able to escape his mundane and empty life as a corporate nobody, and the life he was thrown into allowed him the opportunity to be whatever he wanted. He was free. It's just that the price of freedom was a lack of safety and comfort. But he took that deal, and he did all that he could with it. He might have failed in his ultimate goal to purify Roanapur, but where he's left after that failure is an infinitely better spot than where he was before he had found Roanapur. By the show's end, Rock is still free to live whatever life he chooses, and he has that freedom because he capitalized on an opportunity to do so. When it comes down to our own lives, they may be dull, they may be mundane, they might even be unbearable, but life is what you make it. And even though it may not seem like it, opportunities to improve your life are all around you. Like Rock, maybe you need a little push. Maybe you need something to push you over the edge. Roanapur and the Lagoon Company were Rock's escape, but I believe that there's a Roanapur for all of us. You just have to be willing to go out there and find it. I didn't start watching Black Lagoon to unearth some deep revelation about true purpose or be inspired to better myself as a human. But within this insane series that prides itself on brashness and debauchery, I found all of that and much, much more. Black Lagoon has become one of my favorite series of all time, and it's way more three-dimensional than it gets credit for. The most important thing I've learned from Black Lagoon is that sometimes when you're faced with an obstacle, instead of wasting time trying to figure out the best route around it, you just gotta say "F*** it" and run right the through it. Yeah, you might get hurt, but you'll look cool as hell when you break through.